Welcome to Michigan Football at the Voice of College Football. I am one of your post-game hosts, Desmond. I've got my partner Dre here with us, as well as the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Rogers. Before we get started, please subscribe to the Michigan channel here, as well as Mark's main channel at the Voice of College Football. And also you can subscribe to his Patreon subscription as well. Please like the video, share it out on social media, and thanks for joining. So, gentlemen, how are we doing today? Dre, how are you doing, my friend?
Good, good. This another week in paradise. Speaking of calling us Michigan, uh, a blazing 49 or 45, whatever it is, degrees today. Feels like 65 compared to the last few days. I mean, I actually walked outside as I was going to the gym today in shorts. That's how warm I felt. So yeah, doing pretty good.
That's how us Michiganders do it. Yep, if it's February, it's 40 something out, shorts for sure. Mark, how you doing?
If we would read off our ages, I would explain why that you guys might be going out with shorts, and that I used to do that like all the time. I could tell you stories about standing out at my kid's bus stop when it was 12 degrees and I'd have shorts on, but not anymore. No, 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 man. I bundle up, man. I'm cold all the time.
So I coach fourth grade girls basketball team, my daughter's team, and when I go to practice, I have a full snowsuit on. I have the duck boots on. I've got the snow pants. I've got the vest. I've got the scarf, coat, hat, gloves, everything. So yes, as I start to get a little bit older, I bundle up, because in college it was shorts and a hoodie, no matter how cold it was outside. So things change. Things change. Dre, what was your outfit of choice when it was 10 degrees outside?
Well, I mean, I actually tend to bundle up more than not. I mean, I don't like the cold. I really don't. Um, so I mean, so it's weird. It's all based on how what my body's used to. So, when it's like been really really cold, that's just been here lately. Like, like I think we've been like in the 20s. No, literally 45 felt like 60s to me. I'm like, wow, it feels good. I mean, went outside my coat. I'm like, let me unzip my coat a little bit. I mean, I want to embrace this. It felt amazing to me. So it's all based on what my body's used to.
And it's going away soon. It's going away soon. I think
Don't
we're
take away
scheduled to
my
get like
joy.
6 inches of snow tonight. So,
Well, thank you for that. Sometimes Desmond, ignorance is bliss. And I would have been better off just being ignorant to that. Thank
nope.
you. But we'll talk about that off stream.
No, but it's important to know that now, so that, if you need to go get your grocery shopping done, or you need to pick up a few things, it's good to know that now, so you don't try to go get an oil change tomorrow. Like, tomorrow's not going to be a great day to get your oil changed.
Well, I
So
can tell you one
ignorance
thing
is
won't
not
be
bliss.
changing anytime soon. Apparently, the Michigan football head coaching job. So, oh, until the next NFL vacancy comes up. Oops. Oh, we'll see about that.
Well, we can get right into it. I mean, we are just a couple minutes. It's 21 minutes ago. Clayton Safey posted on Twitter that Michigan and Jim Harbaugh have agreed to a contract extension and reworked deal through the 2026 season per the program. Jim Harbaugh, my enthusiasm for tomorrow, the day after, and every day following is as high as ever, and we are ready to get on the practice field. So he has signed the extension. The wait is over. The extension has been signed, and it seems as if it's just a reworked deal and then added, I think, a year onto the contract. So it doesn't look like the numbers, so to speak, are available just yet. But yeah,
Did he
Jim has signed the extension.
did he add any kind of comment with something of the realms of an enthusiasm unknown to mankind? Is he rejuvenated? Was that in there as well?
Not in Clayton's tweet. So I'm sure there was an enthusiasm unknown to man there.
Okay.
He loves the Michigan football, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor community. Excelling on and off the field. Go blue. Yeah. So that's basically it. Kept it short and sweet. Didn't want to talk too much about chickens or milk, anything like that. So
Being good for the body. Didn't want. It's funny. Did he enjoy his trips to Minnesota? I mean, we took a couple trips there.
I don't know if Minnesota are they known for like any foods or anything like like I think Kansas City's like barbecue or something. I don't know if Minnesota is anything like known, like Boston's got the chowder and all that. I don't know. New England, Boston, potato.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm glad it's signed. I would imagine that there's going to be a pay bump in that, and I mean, I just would imagine that. I'd be hard pressed to not think that he would get one after the season that Michigan had, and I doubt even with the waiting game that Michigan and Jim Harbaugh played with each other. I don't see them changing that deal at all to lower his pay just because he had them waiting. So my guess would be there's a pay bump in there. So, but I guess until we get the numbers reported, we won't really know anything.
Right.
But the wait is over. So hey, now Michigan fans don't have to worry. Jim's never going anywhere, not until at least 2026, right? Not flirting with any other jobs, not NFL. He knows he wants to be here. And he said he's never going to do this again. Or I'm sorry, he said this is not going to be an every year occurrence.
Yeah, it's amazing how you had that epiphany, in a 48-hour span. One moment, you're getting on planes and traveling to various cities or, just waiting for, the ship to come in. And all of a sudden you just wake up one day and, you decide that, where you are, where you always want to be. That is amazing. But
do you think it's ironic that I believe today is the day that the Vikings announced Kevin McConnell as the head coach? Do you think there's any correlation there? Like, do you think that's why he signed today, or do you think it's just coincidence?
You know what? With him, you just never know. I mean, you're talking about like opportunities. I mean, this is silly season, man. You're seeing stuff like Sean McVay possibly retiring. So, let's just see how committed Jim Harbaugh is. I'm surprised he signed it today. I mean, with the McVay, that McVay rumor out there, that sounds kind of hot to me.
Jim Harbaugh to the Rams.
John McVay leaving. I mean, they're already a ready-made team.
If McVay did retire, who's to say that still won't happen?
See, that would tell you shit. And Mark, I'm sorry, we haven't even let you get one word in. But hold on. See, this is what
I got 25 channels to talk on, Trey. I can talk anytime I'd like.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So here's why you don't make statements like that, Jimmy. It's because if the Rams call McVay retires, right? Hey, you know what? I'm not even 40. I've made a lot of money. I've now had the pinnacle of my profession by winning the Super Bowl. I'm retiring. I'm taking some time off to date my supermodel girlfriend. I think his girlfriend's a supermodel or whatever it is, and living my best life. And going to Cabo even more, besides just meeting up with my quarterback over off season. And the Rams, like, we need a coach. We have a ready-made team. Who's safe? They call Jimmy. So this is why you don't make statements like that. You mean to tell me that Jim Harbaugh signed his extension? Be damned. You're not taking that phone call.
Oh, you're gonna take the phone call. Well, he doesn't have an agent, so that makes it difficult. I was gonna say his agent would take it, but yeah, he's definitely gonna take that phone call. He may not say anything about it, but you're definitely taking that phone call. I mean, he wants to, because he wants to coach in the NFL, and that's fine. But like I said, it just
correction. He wants to win a Super Bowl. That it's not just coaching. He wants to win a Super Bowl. So the team that just won one, that they hypothetically called, right?
Well, I think Jim Harbaugh has the confidence that if he coaches in the NFL, he's going to win a Super Bowl. I think he's confident in himself, and in his track record is pretty darn good. I mean, that he took the 49ers to the Super Bowl. Not to say that he would do it again, but I understand why he would have that confidence level.
All right. Just want to throw it out there. Just, I don't have any, what are those party poppers, to kind of break it right now because Harbaugh signed a new deal. But, That deal is about as loyal as the piece of paper is written on. Just saying, but we'll see. And I'm not even salty about it. Like I just like I'm actually truly indifferent. Like I'm not mad at him. I just don't like. I don't like false narratives or like or just not being upfront with how you feel, man. Like yeah, like own it. Like because like then you're insulting our intelligence when you try to spin it other ways. That's why I don't like that kind of stuff. But whatever, that's just me.
Mark, looks like something's on your mind.
This is a 1-year contract extension, right? I got that straight.
Yep.
Okay, he was signed through 2025. So that's the season of 22, 23, 24, 25. So he was already covered for the next 4 seasons. This seems like it's nothing but a show. It's nothing but, this is not getting anything really accomplished in terms of his contract, unless there's other restructuring involved. If it's just an additional 1 year in 2026, then it seems like we know what this has looked like for the last 5 or 6 weeks, and it looks like Jim just came back to us because he had no other options, and he came back to us. So he's going to, on his side, he's going to show that, man, I'm committed to Michigan. I not only have said the right things for the past week, I'm going to sign this contract extension, and we're going to show that he's doing a really good job, and we're pleased with him, and we're offering him a contract extension. But it doesn't seem like it's really accomplishing much. It's a PR move, basically.
Well, and I think the odd part is if, like you mentioned, Mark, if there's not a substantial structure change, why even present it anyway? Like why if he's already, like you mentioned, he's already signed through the next 3 to 4 seasons, and oh wow, like okay, great, let's play this out.
Better controlling narratives. The blue machine gotta keep things looking peachy.
Do you feel like this backfired though? Like as far as the saga we went through for the last 6 weeks before he got turned down for Minnesota? I feel that way.
I just think that if you're, I think 4 years ago, it would have worked, right? Because Jim had so much more of a strong backing. He didn't wear a stand as he's wore on people now, and that's just not just the results on the field. It's just his ways and all the other stuff that goes with having him as your head coach for your NFL team or a college program. And I think now, even with this past season, people have moved towards an apathy / indifferent type stage when it comes to him. And I think emotional support that he was getting from a lot of the people in the fan base just isn't there anymore. And so that's why I don't think that I think it would have worked better, or it would have went over smoother about 3-4 years ago compared to how it is now. I think most people do whatever, like I know how you are, a lot of us kind of wanted you gone a few years, like a year this time last year, we're really happy with what you did. I mean, I put it this way, guys. I mean, you didn't see a large amount of people saying, I told you Jim was the guy. You may have some people like that, but that was a very small percentage of people. What I saw a lot, and I know Twitter or YouTube kind of long measure of how of the consensus of how people think. But a trend that I saw was a lot of people kind of like, yeah, happy he's done it, but overall still kind of disappointed with his whole tenure here. I think that's kind of how most people felt. So
I think the unfortunate part is there's this feeling the year after he has a phenomenal year with the team. Like it shouldn't be like this. And had he not done the whole month of just kind of things lingering out there, I think people would have a much different feeling about him in the season. And it's, like I said, it's unfortunate because all that you worked for, going through, people criticizing you right or wrong and giving you all types of grief, and you have to sit up there in that Ohio State game and you're firing back at reporters saying, I'm not going to, answer your insults, so on and so forth. You go through all of that stuff, and then you finally get over the hump. You beat Ohio State, you beat Penn State, you win the Big Ten, you make it to the college football playoff, and now it's a month later from that game, and this is the feeling on it. It's just like So that part is really tough. I think is, but when you operate this way and you're kind of stringing people along, or seemingly stringing people along, this is the result of it. This is what you get.
I mean, it's like a relationship. I mean, I look at the Harbaugh Michigan fan base relationship, kind of like this. A lot of ups and downs. Harbaugh is definitely not the easiest quote unquote partner to deal with. You finally are trying to be committed to each other during a time where everyone thinks you should get a divorce or should break up. And you have a good couple months, and it looks like, okay, maybe you still have all that emotional trauma and baggage of the relationship, right? So it's not like things just go clean slates because you have a good moment, right? And then all of a sudden, you have a good moment, and then your partner who's put you through all this emotional trauma and ups and downs is now showing that they're non-committal after going through that good moment, right? So it's kind of like, you have to, Harbaugh I think, really had to, and still has to, even more so now, work himself back into the good graces of the Michigan fan base overall, right? And it was going to take more than just one good season. And definitely after having that good season and then the charade that followed the month after with Desmond, you're right. I mean, it definitely didn't help at all.
Yeah, I just, it's interesting. Jim Harbaugh, he's gonna be himself, and
it's the juice worth the squeeze. And Steve Dace, like he said this when we spoke to him a few weeks ago, and it's so true. You have to decide if the juice is worth the squeeze, and I think I've said that before as well when it comes to him. I'm just not sure, even after this season, for me, and this is a decision you have to make individually as a fan. Is he worth all this? And for me, he's just not. For me,
but that's also now, right? So
right.
Let's switch it up. Let's say this season, let's say I would say majority of the Michigan fan base wants JJ to start. Let's say JJ starts, has a phenomenal year. You beat Ohio State, you beat Michigan State, you beat Penn State, you get back to Indy, you win the Big Ten, and you win a playoff game, and you're in the national championship. And let's say you lose, whatever, a close game, lose by 10 in the national championship. Are you going to feel the same way about Jim Harbaugh then as you do right now? Don't lie. Not. Don't lie to our fans. Don't lie to our fans.
And I told you what he has to do. He has to continue to work to rebuild that grace. I mean, so that will be a huge step in rebuilding that grace. Now, I don't think that's going to happen.
I didn't say is it going to happen. I just asked the question.
Scenario that you painted out, Desmond, yes, that I will feel. I will warm up a lot more to him after that. Still, like I said, I'll never like him. That's just me.
Dre, how many coaches in America, college coaches, would you rather have than Jim Harbaugh if you could have them today?
Ooh.
That's a hard question to answer, Mark. And
not really. You're making them more. You're making them difficult. That's not a hard question.
Jim Harbaugh versus Ryan Day. Jim Harbaugh versus James Franklin. Go through every coach in America. It's pretty easy. Boom. Who do you want? How many coaches would you take over Harbaugh?
Okay.
All right, let's start at Nick Saban. Would you take Nick Saban over Harbaugh?
Just before I give the answer, I just want to explain my thought process. For one, Mark, I look at, you have the top echelon of coaches, right, in the game, and then you have like the tier 2, where it's like a good group of good coaches, right? Top tier, top 3. Let's say I'll put Saban. I'll still go Dabo. You could put Lincoln Riley up there, even though Desmond would strongly disagree. You can put Ryan Day up there right now. Some people would disagree and say that he hasn't had a big enough sample size, and he started on third base, whatever Harbaugh said. But I give him that due. Um,
What about Mel Tucker?
no, he's not up there yet. He's got a way to go. No, I see
Ryan
what you're
Day.
trying to do. I said Ryan Day. I put Ryan
Oh,
Day
okay.
up there.
Sorry.
But then that tier two.
Not to interrupt your process, but
Yeah.
Des brings up Mel Tucker. Now,
Yeah.
if we're ranking coaches, that's one thing to say. I would say the same thing. I want to see more out of Mel Tucker. I would rank him wherever I would rank him. But this is actually being able to select him as a coach and say, you can have Mel Tucker. You can make the trade today. You're not like ranking him to say, okay, I need to see more. You're actually, would you take Mel Tucker to be Michigan's coach tomorrow over Jim Harbaugh?
I'm going to get killed for this answer, but I'll say yes. And I have a reason why.
That's what I thought was coming.
Yeah. But because it goes to the person. I just like Mills. One thing I like his way he goes about his business. I like he seems to inject energy. I like his non-nonsense type of attitude. I just do like it. That's just the type of coach that I like. I'm not saying anybody who's listening that he is a better coach than Jim Harbaugh. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I like the way he goes about his business more. And granted, maybe a lot of people will if you just separate, like resume and all that stuff. I just like Mills' way of going about things more. Case in point, a lot of people don't like this guy's personality. You think he's a little childish or whatever. I like PJ Flex, where he goes about his business more than Jim Harbaugh. You know what I'm saying? Like we're talking about, and I like guys who have a certain energy that they inject in their programs, right? I that's the kind of head coach I want, because I think they're able to appeal. They're not just a figurehead for the program. They're able to appeal to the players and get players to want to run through a brick wall for them. And for me, for especially a Midwestern program, which Michigan is, me being a Midwesterner myself, that's just what I appeal to. It just is. I know. Go ahead.
What about PJ Fleck? Would you?
PJ.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah, PJ Fleck, and I love the way he goes about his business as well.
What about Brian Kelly?
No, I don't really like Brian Kelly. No,
It can't all be off of just what you like and who you don't like.
But it's just. I feel like a program's the way they go about their business on the field is a reflection of the head coach, right? And for example, when Mel Tucker and MSU, I think the main reason they were able to have success is because they just played with a sense of urgency all year. Like they know they didn't have the most talent, right? But they played with a sense of urgency. And I think about the game versus us, at Spartan Stadium. The Michigan was dominating that game, most of the game. But Mel just never took his foot off the gas pedal, going for it on fourth down, going for two. How many 2-point? We converted 2-point conversions, and we didn't necessarily have to. He just kept going for it as opposed to playing it safe, right? And I like that. I like that.
Okay.
What about Jeff Brown?
My pushback, real quick, on the Brian. I'm not a Brian Kelly fan, to be.
He was embarrassed himself doing music videos and all that.
But what I would say though is his teams in Notre Dame. I mean, they did. I mean, he didn't. They weren't a dominant team year in year out, but they made the playoff twice? I think 2 or 3 times under his leadership. So I would argue, just based off of that point that you made of how his teams go about their business, I would argue that Brian Kelly fits that specific mold. So he checks that box as far as how his teams perform and operate.
Yeah, but there's a lot of whispers that Brian Kelly isn't the best person to play for, nor coach for. Now granted, I heard he's gotten better, over time. But I don't know, man.
How high is that on your list of must-haves? Guys still went to Notre Dame. I mean, and he still had good coaches.
Results, right? And that's when it goes back to the juice being worth the squeeze. If Harbaugh was dominating, then I wouldn't sweat the little small things like personality and all that. If that makes sense. If Harbaugh was delivering the way we thought he would when he first arrived there, right, in terms of being a top 3 coach in the game, right, and having those type of results, then maybe he's like he did what Dabo did, won a couple natties, definitely won, then I wouldn't care, because results are just that great enough where I'm indifferent to it. But when you have the results we've had and that we've had lately, besides this past year, and then with Harbaugh's quirkiness and his ways, yeah, it all kind of just like, it's ideally speaking, it's just not for me. But I mean, I'm not going to say get rid of the guy. You're asking me if I had a chance to put him in a trade machine for any other coach in the country. Yeah, I mean,
what about the lane train? Ed Rogers asked about the dude at Mississippi.
No, I think Lane Kiffin's very gimmicky, man. I've never really got the Lane hype. He's a solid coach. I mean, like he's done a decent job at Ole Miss. But then I think about his time at Tennessee. I think about his time at coaching Oakland. It's just a lot of.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
I know.
I'll give him. I'll just give him a little. That I think he's learned from that. I mean, like I get it. Like when you're on Nick Saban's staff, like part of it, especially when you're the offensive coordinator, part of it's getting chewed out. But that has got to be a humbling experience to just get berated the way that Kiffin did when he was there. Because I think he did a phenomenal job when he was at Alabama. I think from that time forward, he's done a phenomenal job. But I do think he's learned a lot there. What'd you say?
Who hasn't done a phenomenal job at Alabama, Des? They make everybody look good.
Bill O'Brien can go today, but nonetheless, I think Lane Kiffin's I think he did a really good job there. I think building his program at FAU and even Ole Miss, man, they did some, I mean, that 2 years ago, they were, took Alabama. I mean, they ended up losing the game by, I think, 10, but
I remember.
I don't know, man. What was Matt Corral before Lane Kiffin got there? I mean, he was a good quarterback, but I've seen mock drafts where he's going to be the number one quarterback taken off the board, not the number one pick, but the first quarterback off the board. That's a lot. I think he's done a pretty good job, but I mean, to each their own. I'm
real quick. Why do people get? I've noticed this too. Why do people get so defensive when a Michigan fan says something good about Mel Tucker? No one said that. I never said I thought Mel Tucker was a great coach or he's going to be the best coach in the Big Ten and he's the next big thing. I would say it's like his personality. Like I'm not petty. No, I hate Sparty. Okay, I don't want to root for Sparty. I hate the Buckeyes. Never root for them. Okay, let's make that clear. But I'm also I have eyes, and you're talking about if I like their personality more and they're like their way to go about things more. Mel Tucker or Jim Harbaugh, I like Mel Tucker more. Okay, I just say exclude the resumes and miss me with the whole, well, what did he do at Colorado? I'm not talking about that. So I get very frustrated when I see people do that. Like, stop this, guys. I'm not leaving the Michigan train. I am a Michigan fan. I don't just stop it. This is not about choosing sides. I'm just saying they asked me a question and I gave them an answer. Go blue. All right, keep going. Just kidding.
I didn't have any other coaches in mind. Those were the main ones I wanted to ask about.
You're just throwing names out here. Tom Herman.
Where is Tom Herman right now?
I don't even know. I think he's enjoying counting his money. Not coaching anywhere.
Is he not at OC of anywhere?
I think he's honestly just counting his money.
I thought he was on a staff, but he might not be. Michael Hogg put, Rob, speaking of Joe Brady, why hasn't he been hired yet? He got the OC position in the NFL somewhere. Can't remember what team. The Giants, maybe? No, that's not right. Joe Brady got hired somewhere.
Tom Herman was an offensive analyst with the Bears this last year.
Offensive analyst.
Wow.
That mess with Matt Nagy? No.
Well, I mean, you talk about failing up. I mean, that's interesting. I'll just leave it at that.
That's not a good look. The Bears' offense was a mess this year, but whatever.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I mean, you got fired in the NFL or in college football, and then you get an offensive analyst job. Granted, it's not like it's an OC position or anything like that, but that's interesting. So there was an interesting quote. Gene Smith, the AD at Ohio State, said a couple of interesting things, but what I wanted to bring up was if Ohio State hosted a college football playoff game, I don't have the exact quote, but essentially what Gene Smith said was they would like to host it at Indianapolis at the indoor Lucas Oil Stadium where the Big Ten Championship is played. I thought that was interesting because I feel like you hear the narrative a lot of times that the down south schools don't want to come and play up north, and it's just interesting that one of the premier schools up north is saying that they would want to play a January game indoors. Now I get it. I live in Michigan. Dre, you live in Michigan, so we understand what January in Michigan is like, or Ohio. It's close enough. It's cold, very cold. So I just thought that was interesting, and wanted to obviously get your take on it, Dre, but especially you, Mark. That's the team you root for, and have seen a lot of activity and engagement talking about Gene Smith's comments today. But Dre, what do you think about that?
I think this past November must have been very, very scarring for Gene Smith. Apparently, playing in a little bit of cold and inclement weather has gotten a little, maybe he feels like maybe they need that to be successful because apparently, you got illnesses and also weather being the issue while Michigan, Ohio State couldn't beat Michigan in November. So I don't know if he's trying to ensure that doesn't happen again. But whatever. Playing on. Look, that's one thing you can kind of out the way, right? If you're playing in a dome, you're taking weather out the way, right?
Yes, we can all agree on that.
We can all agree on that. So whatever. If you think that's just about evening the playing field and making sure that all teams can perform and do everything they want to be able to do, then I guess I get it, but it's not something that I would push for if I was in his position. I'm pretty indifferent when it comes to
that. If Michigan hosted a playoff game, you would want it at the Big House, I assume.
Absolutely.
Outdoor.
Absolutely. Create a real home atmosphere. To create a NFL-esque type atmosphere. I think that'll be huge. Why would you want, to no. You want that home field advantage, right? You're not going to get them on the neutral field.
Mark, what are your thoughts on it?
So Gene Smith also attached to that comment something about passing the ball, something about our quarterback or C.J. Stroud passing the ball. And so he's doing exactly what Dre said. He is connecting inclement weather, whether it be just the Michigan game, which is obviously the prime example of playing in wasn't horrible weather. We see far worse. It wasn't ideal to throw the ball, but it wasn't. We see teams throw in those conditions all the time and throw effectively. And Ohio State threw it fairly effectively. That wasn't the problem. The problem was getting pushed around all over, up and down the field on both sides of the ball. So I really don't agree with it. I don't think it's crazy to. I understand his logic. He wants having confidence in the athletes. He wants the weather to be taken out of consideration and feels that Indianapolis is close enough that Ohio State can make it like a home field from a crowd perspective, but it's not Ohio Stadium. It's not the same. It wouldn't be the same. Yeah, there would be a noise advantage for Ohio State to a certain degree, but it just takes away exactly how you set this question up. There's been this long debate over all the bowl games, postseason games, playoff games are played in domes or played in the South. Good weather for obvious reasons. It's a vacation. It's a reward for the players in addition to being a game. So that's why the games are located where they are. And fans of Northern teams have often said would love to see teams from the SEC have to play in bad weather. Well, that would eliminate that. And I just think would take away from what those games would be intended to be. If they're targeted to on-campus sites for playoff games, then they should be played on campus.
I would imagine that this is it. I mean, of course, it's a hypothetical question because it that's not the case right now. But if that were to actually happen, excuse me, and let's say in 3 years that Ohio State has the opportunity to host a playoff game, I don't think there's any remote possibility that Gene Smith is not going to have that game played on campus. Because I would imagine, let's just talk Ohio, the football program, the revenue that you're going to make on a home playoff game, I it would be impactful. How about
Are you
that?
talking
And
about for the city? So
I'm talking just for the school, just the school, the football program
Well,
first, and then
well,
we
maybe
can
that
we can
gets-
go to the the larger scale of Columbus and the surrounding area. I mean, that would be unreal,
Well,
unreal.
maybe that gets transferred from Columbus to Indianapolis, and since it is a quote unquote home game, then Ohio State takes the same percentage of the gate and all of that. So maybe the money's not a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, well, I guess we would.
Although the place doesn't seat 110,000 people, I know that.
True.
Nothing
Very true.
close to it.
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't know. Me and Des wouldn't know about what a home playoff atmosphere is like because we're Lions fans. So we tend to only watch that through TV.
Yeah, that would be.
Vicariously.
Yeah,
I have no idea what
I just think
Maybe we
I
should
don't
have that.
foresee that would ever happen, that they would move it. I just, like you said, Mark, of with number one, I think the gate, you make a good point. Like that could be essentially our the gate will be equal or relatively equal, let's say. But even too for the city of Columbus and the surrounding areas, I mean, you're talking, restaurants, hotels. And when you're talking about the amount, number one, the amount of people in the fan base that Ohio State has, or we can even, transfer it to Michigan. I mean, it's not just Columbus. It's the suburbs around Columbus. It's what's the next closest big city that I can, stay for a reasonable, hotel, because obviously with, prices, things like that. What's the next closest city that I can stay and still drive back and forth? Like it just, I don't see how it would not happen.
The question is, how effective would it be? That's what I wondered too. Like, how effective would it be on winning? Like, I think about we were a 2 seed, wasn't in Georgia was a 3 seed. Would that game have been much different if we played it in the big house?
The Georgia Michigan game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
I'll just keep
I don't think so. Just mainly because of the type of team that Georgia is. I mean, they're a run first team. So I think they, I don't think that's going to be a huge difference for them. I think if if Michigan plays Alabama, I think that would have been more of an impact because they do like to throw the ball so much. So I don't know. I don't know how big of an impact that has on winning, but I would imagine that the tickets would, I don't know how that would work. If it would be just normal home game, I guess, setup where, it's mainly Michigan fans or Ohio State fans in the stadium, or if it would be kind of I don't even know if the neutral site games do like a half and half, like, certain amount of tickets are set for, Michigan fans, certain some for Ohio State fans. I don't know exactly how that happens.
So you can't picture this. It's New Year's Eve at Michigan Stadium this past December. It's New Year's Eve. Whatever the weather was that night, it wasn't whatever it was in Miami. That's for sure. Whatever it was, it's New Year's Eve at Michigan Stadium at night, and the place is packed with 85 to 90% Michigan fans. And Georgia's got their little section in the corner, and it's 23 degrees outside. I'm not saying that negates a 23-point win. That was actually, in my estimation, stronger than a 23-point win. But I really don't think there's that much separation. Let me rephrase that. I think that there is separation between those two teams. I think that the separation that we saw on that night was shown to be more than it would be if we saw them play again and again and again and again. So if Michigan had them at home with that kind of crowd, with that kind of weather, would they have more of a puncher's chance I believe so. I think it could be huge.
I
It's
don't.
true.
I think that we've seen. I think we've seen, especially in college football. It's not like the NFL. When there is a talent gap, um, it tends to always show. So in the NFL, you see playoff teams go on the road to win just as much as teams on at home win because the talent gap is it's not that big of a discrepancy in talent. But you know, would it be an initial adjustment? Sure, but I think that the gap we saw between because if that's the case, then you wouldn't. Well, I guess it's a bad example because Ohio State is in a colder state. Um, I just I've seen teams that have better talent than us embarrass us in our own home stadium in the past, so that's why it's kind of like I don't know. I mean, when the talent is that much better, I mean, it tends to always show itself.
Who's got better talent, Alabama or Georgia?
Talking about this
That's a
past
great.
season?
That's
Well,
a great.
I would say Georgia overall.
Yeah, I would say I don't know. I would say it's extremely close. But if all we had to go on was the first game, well, then Alabama beat Georgia by 17 points.
True.
So this is just my. I'm just throwing it out there that we see
I'll be more
rematches all the
upset, to be
time that
honest
look
with you.
nothing like the first game.
I'll be more upset, to be honest with you. You talking about really ruining my New Year's Eve? If we had like, can I just think about the anticipation for that? You know, I'm all happy. Dez will probably have to contain me. Like, hey man, this be okay. Pace yourself. You know, we got a show to do later on. Don't go too far. And we're probably do a tailgate. We'll probably be at the
Yes.
Michigan golf course tailgating if that was the case. And I would be just on a whole nother level. And if I'll be even more excited and have more expectations. And then if that same result happened, I'll be that much more demoralized and get absolutely destroyed in the own home stadium. But that's just my me being a cynic. So whatever.
So we had this conversation during our Ohio State show, and one of the Ohio State writers asked what we thought the temperature was in Columbus for the Big Ten championship game this year. So on the date of the Big Ten championship game, what the temperature was in Columbus.
I'm gonna say 30 degrees.
51.
Damn.
That is
Oh.
that's nothing. That's fall. That's great
So,
fall weather, actually. That's perfect.
That's true. Well, what our playoff games are what roughly a month removed from that,
Yeah.
so we'd be, yeah. I wonder what it was in January. So let me see if I can find that out.
Yeah, I'm sure it was noticeable. A noticeable difference. Grady, do you have any thoughts about these coaching changes? New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator.
For Michigan,
Yeah.
I it was it's one of those things where I think this is just going to be a year of they're going to take a step back this year. Mostly because they're losing a lot, especially on defense. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really feel one way or the other. I think Gaddis, and we talked about it last week. We don't know the amount of influence Gaddis had on every particular play call. I will say I agree with Mark's assessment that, and yours as well, Des, that it was Jim Harbaugh's his tendencies in terms of how he would like to approach a game, but that was all Jim. But what I'm interested to see is does this offense go more towards that way, or do we go really towards a pro style of offense? Are we really going more towards Jim? And maybe Gaddis was trying to keep him a little bit more of speed and space, in terms of his influence. To be honest with you, Mark, I'm really not sure. I mean, it's because we know we lost both sides, so I'm not exactly sure yet. Got to get more of a feel. Ask me that after the spring game. I want to see how they go about things then, and see how things
Well,
look.
we can't give out too much in the spring game. You don't want to get too crazy with the showing your hand and whatnot. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I still feel the same way that I felt last week. I think we talked about it a little bit, but the defense will most likely take a step back, and hopefully the offense would take a step forward. So we shall
Look
see.
at the listeners, making friend connections here or in the chat. Have people want to stay in touch with each other and get to know. I love it. Look, we're making friend connections here at the Voice of College Football Michigan channel. Look at us. I love it. I
And
love it.
Michael Hogg searched it up, and it was 37 degrees. Whatever day we were asking him about, essentially the playoff game. So, I mean, that's that's
Dave,
not the frozen tundra, but
Dave Snow. What's his name? Dave Snow. There. What are you talking about? How am I negative? I'm at a pause. I don't really know what to expect. I find interesting, not to do some kind of psychoanalysis dive, but it's when listeners sometimes hear non-positivity as negativity. I hope that makes sense. Like, just because I'm not saying like, oh, this is going to work and be great, doesn't mean I'm saying it's going to be bad. I'm saying that we have to wait and see. I find that very interesting. But then,
The thing I'll say about these coaching changes is, do I know, distinctly these coaching resumes and how good these coaches are? No, I don't. So I'm not going to make an evaluation on how good the hires are specifically. But Jim Harbaugh rebuilt a program at Stanford, rebuilt the 49ers, and upgraded Michigan. So he's been successful at every stop. And any head coach that's successful, that's one of his major responsibilities and talents, is to identify talent and to build a coaching staff. And he's apparently been able to do that at every stop. So they reset the staff at this time last year. That proved to be successful. So I'm going to trust that this coaching staff is going to be successful. This Jess Minter as defensive coordinator, along with Steve Clinkscale, who obviously is already there, taking over for Mike McDonald. I'm gonna push aside the Vandy stats from last year. They're so overwhelmed in the SEC.
Yes.
I don't know that anyone can scheme Vandy to stopping anybody. But he was at Indiana State. They were a marginal program. He fielded a top 5 defense when he got there. He went to Georgia State. They had the best points per game improvement on defense than anybody in the country. And then when he was coaching the Ravens secondary, their stats and metrics across the board were top 5 in the NFL. So he must know what he's doing.
yeah.
I got to be honest, Mark, when you brought up, Indiana State and Georgia State, I kind of just, that didn't really move the needle too much for me. But, I understand what you're getting at. I really do.
Well, if he was at Georgia State and Indiana State and was the bottom 5 of defensive rankings, I'm sure you probably would have another thought about it.
To be quite honest with you, like I'll say what I said again.
Oh, whatever. You're lying. Don't lie to our listeners. Don't Don't you do that.
The only time I've heard of Vandy being good or even decent, what was their record? What was Jay Cutler's record while you there?
I think 9-3, something like that.
James Franklin went 9-4 2 consecutive years there. And with that, I will bid adieu. You boys take it home.
All right, Mark.
Thanks,
We'll
Mark.
see you.
See you.
Probably wrap here.
Yeah, we can wrap here. I actually have I'm interested in getting your thoughts on expectations for Michigan this year, but we might save that for another stream.
But
we got a long way to go.
While we still have people here, guys, we don't talk about it every week, but we definitely talk about it. When we first started the channel, we started doing the post game shows. Des and I also do sport topics outside of Michigan football. Now that we're in the off season, we talk NFL, we talk NBA. And if you like our approach, you like how we talk about things, you would like to kind of follow us and get our spin on topics outside sports topics outside of just Michigan football, please. Des, I mean, what do you think they should listen to all go, or should they listen to Dre and Des? I mean, I don't know. Like, how would you prefer people to tune
Well,
in?
when was the last episode released on either platform?
It's been a minute.
Right. So make sure you let people know that. They'll click on the Dre and Des podcast on Spotify and see the last episode was like October. So they just to clear that up. But
we focus most of our energy here, and of course our energy is definitely here, but we also during the off season would love to get you guys to follow us on the Dre and Des podcast. So it's been quite a while, but we're going to get it started again.
Dre loves to talk about his man LeBron, who can do no wrong.
See, you know what? You shouldn't bring up LeBron's name because he's such a polarizing figure. We're probably going to lose a lot of people, but whatever. I'm not a LeBron fanboy, as opposed to what Desmond believes, but it is what it is.
You're not?
No, I am not.
Okay. Well, in that case, we need to have an episode this week to talk about your LeBron fanboy-ism, in which we've already done that.
We'll talk about the Super Bowl. We'll talk about
Hall of Famer Matt Stafford.
Hall of Famer Nay. Is Richard Sherman a hater?
I think both things can be true as far as what Richard Sherman said and Matt Stafford's going to the Hall of Fame. Like the bar can be too low, and I think it is. And Matt Stafford's also going to be a Hall of Famer. So we could just leave it at that because that's what's going to happen. So yeah. So but yeah, we can
we are getting a lot of lead bombs. There we go. Look guys, we'll talk about it more, please. We'll probably release the episode by the end of this week, so be on the lookout for it. Des and I were both posted on our Twitter to let you know when it's been released. But yeah, we'll probably talk with some NBA, and we'll definitely talk some Super Bowl and NFL as well. So we'd love to see you tune in for that as well.
We appreciate it. All right, man. That is it for us. Peace.